Hello everybody, I am Gordon Gamefield and I am the founder of the GOAT Hardware company. A friend of mine recently asked me to build a gaming computer or gaming PC for him for around 1,400 ringgits. I built the GOAT Hardware GeForce 3 gaming PC for him for around that price. Skip to different parts of this video by clicking on the timestamps for different sections of the video in the video description below. I will start by talking about the specifications of this gaming PC. The desktop processor or CPU used in this build is an AMD Ryzen 3 3200G with 4 cores and 4 threads. This processor can play every computer game in the world, and it comes with a Raft Stealth CPU cooler with pre-applied thermal paste. The motherboard is an MSI A320M-A Pro Max motherboard. This MATX or Micro ATX motherboard should work well with most, if not all, AMD Ryzen 3000 series of desktop processors in all or most cases without flashing its BIOS or UEFI. This motherboard has various internal connectors including an M.2 slot, a PCI Express X16 slot, 2 DIMM slots to hold up to at least 64 GB of DDR4 RAM, 4 SATA internal connectors, a 4-pin ATX 12-volt power connector, a 24-pin ATX main power connector, and an AM4 socket for the CPU. The ports and connectors at the back of the motherboard include 4 USB 3.0 Type A ports, 2 USB 2.0 Type A ports, 2 PS2 ports, 3 audio jack ports, 1 port that accepts a cable that can connect the computer to a local area network, also known as LAN, a DVI-D port, and a HDMI port. I bought this 8GB Apacer DDR4 RAM stick, which runs at 2666 MHz for this build. Yes, two 4GB DDR4 RAM sticks running at the same speed and timings would deliver greater gaming performance than this 8GB DDR4 RAM stick. However, two 4GB DDR4 RAM sticks often cost more than a similar 8GB DDR4 RAM stick. I therefore bought just one 8GB DDR4 RAM stick for this build to save cost. The motherboard can still accept another DDR4 RAM stick, so a future RAM upgrade is still possible. The storage device of this build is an ADATA SU650 solid-state drive, also known as an SSD. This is the 120GB model, and it should be faster than most hard disk drives at doing its job. The graphics card is the Nvidia GeForce GTX 650 and is the only used or refurbished component of this build. Although there are better graphics cards than this one for gaming, the prices of many graphics cards are quite high at the moment. The seller also claimed in this graphics card's online listing that this graphics card will be tested before it gets shipped to me, which assured that it is safe to buy this graphics card. This graphics card is probably the ZOTAC GTX 650 Destroyer TSI model with 1 GB of VRAM or dedicated memory. The AVF APS R500 is the power supply unit, also known as the PSU, used in this build. This is a 500 watt PSU with an 80 plus certification. I know that I should get a PSU made by a more trusted and well-known manufacturer. However, many PSUs with good quality are either out of stock or have higher prices. I therefore decided to buy the cheapest PSU with an 80 plus certification, which happens to be this PSU. Although this PSU is non-modular, it does have cables covered in some kind of smooth and shiny dark material. The body of this PSU seems to be made out of some kind of rather sturdy or strong metal alloy coated with a slightly rough layer of black paint. I think the computer case is an Epcon Core Extreme MX Micro ATX computer case. I have a few things to say about this rather small computer case, so I will talk about the weaknesses of this computer case first. This computer case is so small and cramped on the inside that there was barely enough space for me to do cable management, or perhaps I have terrible cable management skills. This computer case only has space and holes to mount the PSU at the top. At this day and age, a computer case that supports a bottom-mounted PSU is more desirable. This case has 4 expansion slots, but only the top slot can be removed by removing its screw. The other expansion slots have to be broken before being removed. This is undesirable since the motherboard mounts in such a way that I will have to break the second and third expansion slots in order to mount any graphics card that takes up a space of 2 slots. I also got an electric shock 3 times when I touched the metal surface of the computer case, and that happened when the computer's power was still on. Other things worth mentioning are the fact that this case only has 2 USB 2.0 ports at the front, space to mount 2.5-inch and 3.5-inch storage devices at the bottom of the case, significantly long USB 2.0 front panel connector cables, significantly long front panel HD audio connector cables, no transparent side panel, no dust filter, and no PSU shroud. I do like this case for being small, being light enough to carry around with ease, has no sharp corners, has a mesh panel at the front, and has enough space to mount a graphics card 273 millimeters long. This computer case supports 2 120 millimeter case fans at the front and 1 80mm case fan at the back. It was sometime in July 2020 when I built this PC. I disinfected the packaging holding the computer's components, but it did not matter. Most of the problems I had with the build was related to the computer case as explained earlier. I had a slight issue trying to install the CPU cooler, but I solved it anyway. I finished building the PC in about 185 minutes without a graphics card. I spent about 215 minutes to successfully install Windows 10. The Windows 10 media creation tool in my USB flash drive had an unknown error, so I had to reinstall it again. Then I spent some more time installing several software into the PC, including the Avast free antivirus software, audio drivers, the LibreOffice suite of software, graphics drivers, and a few games. Counter-Strike Global Offensive, also known as CSGO, failed to get past the menu and load into any game. Let's watch a cool video of the computer. Let's see the benchmark tests. For games, Team Fortress 2 seems to run above 64 FPS in most cases. Forgive me for not being able to record a good recording with OBS. OBS has issues recording a good recording almost every time in this PC. The actual gaming experience was fluid, smooth, and very enjoyable. Team Fortress 2 is very playable even at 1080p resolution. I did not have the time to test Valorant with the graphics card, but I did test it without the graphics card. Valorant ran between 41 FPS to about 94 FPS at 1080p at low settings without a graphics card. The frame rate can go higher than 100 FPS when watching other players after death as a spectator. Valorant took less than 45 minutes to successfully install. This is good since the average internet speed at one point during the download was 10.5 megabits per second. I recorded the video in this way because I was afraid that Open Broadcaster software, also War Thunder, ran at an average frame rate of 69 FPS to over 76 FPS at 1080p low settings depending on which perspective I view during a battle replay. I am sorry, I don't know why OBS recorded a recording like this. The actual game ran or play in a fluid and smooth way. I enjoyed playing War Thunder on this PC. I think this gaming PC is a good PC for its price. Let me know what you think about this PC or this video in the comment section below. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. I am trying to upload a new video every month. Please leave a like on the video if you like it. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Thank you for watching the video.